Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Of the European Leadership Program's 9th cohort. We came so far since 2019. Thank you for joining us. We always enjoy the summer graduation because later you can treat yourself on the terrace. And excuse us for beginning a bit late, but that shows the strengths of this community and the family already, that we want to talk to each other so badly that apparently it took us some minutes. So thank you again for joining. We are happy to have today with us Nicole Standard, a professor of KU Leuven and one of the masterminds of service learning and representative of UXIA, the University Center St. Ignatius, Antwerp, a Jesuit foundation at the University of Antwerp. As UXIA has been accompanying and sponsoring the graduation since the beginning of ELP, we are very happy to have them. And we have Frank Janin, Father Frank Janin, the president of the Jesuit Conference of European Provincials, our keynote speaker. So we will save the best spot for you, Frank, to bring your message. And we have also Philippe Martens, the director of JESC, and Martins. Yes, my Portuguese is not getting better, but neither is Hungarian. We could compete in Duolingo. So, Philippe, then rather take the place. Thank you.
I was telling, so button, and any in the back. So are the ones calling the shots of this event, as usually they organize. And they told me last time, Philippe, you talk too much. You talk too much. So I try just some welcoming words and to be brief. Also in JESC, we were saying, and I'm very happy to see this room like this, it's important for an institution to have every now and then these kind of events when we get together, partners, friends. So I think, so it's very nice. We usually say we have nice people today, Frank, and we'll have so nice reflection, nice words. We have also for the fellows, and usually in this event, the best part is the foods at the end. So even for people of you have friends who say, I'm late, don't worry, tell them to come. Just three things I would share very briefly. I remember 6 months ago, I have spoken about the joy. So I've spoken about joy, and now I would look at the cohorts that was finishing their 5 months experience, and I would see joy was the word that was coming to my mind. This was 5 months ago. And well, this morning, and I was just about to finish just taking some notes, if I were to speak about these 19 fellows, so you can see them here on they look nice people, don't they? I was looking at them, you really look respectable, contrary to the usual. And the words that was coming to my mind for these cohorts, the word that was coming to my mind was listening. Was the capacity of listening. And we have spoken about this several times. Because on one hand, I've seen them grow in capacity of listening to the others, to one another. We usually have monthly, remember we have these monthly meetings. And it was, sometimes when the silence is almost palpable, that you can touch it. So I think one of the nice things that I've seen in this group to grow was this capacity of listening to one another, to Aldegonde. I could not attend many. Aldegonde came, so a good friend, and sometimes Aldegonde was speaking. So she was speaking about marriage and the troubles and joys of marriage. So I disconnected. It was not my territory, as you know. And I was looking at the faces of these people. And it was beautiful to see you listening, the capacity of listening, of creating space to welcome. So the listening to others, and this was nice. The second thing, I think you've developed also, and this was nice during these 5 months, not only the capacity of listening to others, but the capacity of listening to yourself. So Ignatius, he was 500 years ago. He was a master on this. yes, to be saint and to do good things, but listen to you and try to know your feelings, to put name to it, try to understand that's it, what you are living, uh, and this adventure, this what you shared, discovering your own world and sharing when we had these meetings with your coaches, some of them are here as well. I think it was nice to be a witness of this your inner journey, and I really feel it, and I appreciate it. And finally, the third thing, I'm still in my time, right? But the third thing, we had 2 weeks ago, so the program, and you can see, so not to describe the program in full, but usually some years ago when we started, we had a final paper and discussion of a paper. It was more an academic thing. But in these last few cohorts, we understood maybe what we're called to, what we're strong is this like integral formation, integral knowledge of people. And we had 15 days ago what we call the personal mission plan. So the presentation of what each one of them has learned during this week, these months, and what does the call, so where the call continues to. And it was very beautiful to listen to them, to speak about this call, to speak about this call. Some of us call it God, and we believe God, this presence of the Spirit. Maybe some of you, it's true, we've talked about it. Maybe some of you don't quite understand this and call it the strength of love, or to put good in the world. But in that day, in that Saturday, what I felt was this: when you shared, so we were all the day together, you were sharing, we were united by this call. I think we were united by this call. And that's what I wish you. Some of you will stay for the second semester. Some of you continue your journey, whether here or in your countries or in someplace else. But this capacity of listening to this call, so that you make the world a better place and your life has meaning, has a bigger meaning. And that was also nice to see 15 days ago. So I think this same spirit that we live there, we also live. We work together, many partners, many friends. Maybe this spirit also be with us along this afternoon. That's it. Okay.
Thank you, Philippe. As Philippe mentioned, we changed the plan in ELP, and the fellows are writing a personal mission plan. And this is one of the activities that we do together with the UXIA Foundation in Antwerp. Each cohort, each semester, they have a presentation of this mission plan. We believe that the young adults leaving university, entering the labor market, but let's admit, sometimes even ourselves, do need this reflection, what actually we want to do with our life, even if we change jobs time and again, what is the larger mission. So this is what we share with UXIA, and that's why we are very proud with our partnership with the foundation, which is another Jesuit entity, and therefore we are very happy to have you, Professor. So please make your welcome speech.
Yeah, in the first place, thank you very much for this kind invitation, and congratulations with this event, but also with everything that you have achieved during the past year. I myself, I'm a professor at the KU Leuven, not so far from here, but I'm also in the board of directors of UXIA. And as you have already heard, UXIA stands for University Center Saint Ignatius Antwerp. Before there was a university in Antwerp, and then there was a fusion, but the Jesuits kept an institution together with lay people to continue the Jesuit and Ignatian spirit in Antwerp. And there are many aspects in that institution that overlap, or let's say that are very close to what is happening here, because there are some of the central themes: social justice, solidarity, also a whole program in European humanism, in the making. That's a training of values in Europe. So there are a lot of communalities between both institutions, and that's also one of the concrete collaborations is the fact that some fellows every year are participating or having their kind of internship also at UXIA or in collaboration with UXIA. So I was asked to explain just one aspect of an action or pedagogy or a vision on pedagogy that UXIA also promotes, and that is service learning. So maybe not many people have heard about that. Service learning is a way of teaching and pedagogy that already exists in Latin America and in the United States and in Canada for more than 50 years. But in Europe, it's relatively new. And in the low countries here, it's even newer. It only exists for 7 or 8 years. But I will give a very brief explanation of it, and you will very quickly discover how close it is also with your experience. So when you hear the word service learning, in fact, there are 3 elements. You have service, and then you have a hyphen, and you have learning. So the first aspect is the service. Service means an engagement in society, and an engagement, it's not only to help the others, but an engagement in which there is the priority of the other. At this moment, today, many people do not like so much the word service because it seems a bit paternalistic and so on. And to a certain extent, it can be paternalistic. But when you really look at the word and the significance of service, it's you are lower and the other is higher. And so it's the priority of the other in our action. So that's the first element. And important with this service is what we learn also from Latin America, that is the horizontal solidarity. And what is horizontal solidarity? It's not that we say, okay, we are a university, like my own university, and we have the wisdom, and we have all the knowledge, and we are going to help the others who don't know and who are helpless. And so at the end, we hope that they will be grateful for everything that they have received from us as a university. That is not the idea of the horizontal solidarity we are achieving. Horizontal solidarity means you have a community, like this community here, and you have a community outside, a group of people, an NGO or whatever, a group of refugees, and both are a community, and both have knowledge, and both can help each other, and both can receive. And that's the interaction we try to build. So to put it in other words, our former general was called Arupe. Maybe some of you have heard about him. And he had this saying, we have to educate people, men and women, for others. And that was very good. But now we go a step further. It's not only for others, but together with others, and starting from the questions and the needs of the others. And then you feel a little bit what is behind service learning, and I'm sure that in a number of actions that you undertook and your experiences, you also had this kind of elements that were at play. So that was the first in service learning. Second is the hyphen, and the hyphen stands for reflection. And you already pointed out in other words, but that's basically what you pointed out, that you have the occasion to listen to others, but also to listen to yourself. Because we do not necessarily learn from our experience. As such, we learn from reflecting on our experience, because then we can deepen our experience by the reflection. So in service learning, no service learning without reflection. And that's also what you have been training and doing here. And the third point is learning. And the learning is a kind of holistic learning. It's not only the 2 centimeter on top of our body, because a lot of our universities, they concentrate on these 2 centimeters. And what we say, it's not only these 2 centimeters, it's also our hands and our heart. So the learning is personal learning. It is academic learning, because it's important that you link your experience with academic, as people who are trained and who are knowledgeable and have the opportunity to do that, to link that with academic knowledge, and that you learn socially about society, and that this whole can help you also in envisioning your own future. And that's what you just explained, the experience that you had here by, what do I learn from this experience and what does it mean for the future? Now, with regard to this future, a number of students have did some research, but also some concrete experiences. I had the example here of Lucia from Slovakia. She was working with women refugees in detainees camps here in Belgium. So what I have heard about it, that it was a very good experience also. But I want to take that kind of example of what service learning in fact ambitions. Because on one hand, probably she has learned a lot personally. So how do I react on this kind of situation? And she learns from the personal encounter. And then we can also learn academically and also socially. But the aim is also, and then we are completely in the European Leadership Program, the hope is that you will also be leaders. And the leaders mean that you will also bring about change in society. So there is a whole shift from the personal encounter with the poor, with the excluded, with the most vulnerable, which is extremely important, and that's really also a biblical message, because the Gospel is about that, personal encounters with people who are excluded and vulnerable. In the mission statement of my university, it is a special attention to the most vulnerable. But then from that point to move to structural changes in society. We have a course at our university, and that is the course with the prison. So we have 12 students of our university who during one semester, every week, attend one class in the prison, together with 12 other students, namely prisoners. They follow that class on equal level. They read the same academic papers. They have the same discussions. They have the same papers they have to write. At the end, the KLO students get their credits and the detainees get a certificate. So it's a quite radical way of, as you see, but it's not only to have this encounter, but also to change in society. And they made a change in society because these students, they can also attend some other classes at the K11. But these classes, as you probably know, you have all these platforms, electronic digital platforms, and they did not have access to that. And so they made a court appeal to claim the right of the detainees to have access to this kind of education. And they won. So you can see how such a class also can lead to structural changes. That's one of the ambitions. So to organize this and your experience, that's also my wish, that I hope, is that you can foster the willingness for solidarity in service learning. The word solidarity is very important. And I know there are different meanings of solidarity. You can see with solidarity, it's more than empathy. I have empathy for a concrete person whom I meet, but one of the definitions of solidarity is the relationship to the stranger whom I do not encounter, but who is, like me, a human being. My solidarity, our solidarity at this moment with people who are in the hospital, we don't know them, but I'm solidary because I pay my taxes. That is a type of solidarity. And solidarity is a preparation for the future and at the same time a grounding for the present. And this links us also to this European ambition. Why? Because here we are just Schumann. And who is Schumann? I hope at the end of this year you know who is Schumann. Schumann, 73 years ago, you have the Schuman Declaration. And I hope you had the occasion to read and to reread this Schuman Declaration. We should not forget that Schuman was a very spiritual person. In the 30s, in the 40s, he was involved in the whole Benedictine movement and also in the movement of liturgical renewal and building communities and so on. He was very much inspired by spirit, also Christian spirit. And in this famous Schuman Declaration, you have the next sentence, which is very often quoted: Europe will not be made all at once, nor in an overall construction. It will be made by concrete achievements, first creating a de facto solidarity. So at the core of Europe is this whole notion of solidarity. And that's in fact also the message or the wish that I present to you, and also to continue this program, because that's one of the aims, I think, also of the program, is that by bringing young people together, as you have been doing, you take very concrete achievements. You do very concrete steps by which you can build Europe together. And that's the hope that in next year, in 10 years, in 20 years, that you will be in positions of responsibility where you can further achieve this notion of solidarity. So that's what I wish to all of you. And again, congratulations with this very nice project and the very nice batch of students who graduate this year. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Father Standard. Actually, it is the first time in the history of the graduations that we have 3 Jesuits on stage. So that has never happened, and we have 2 more in the rows, and Father Foria from the Apostolic Nunciature. So I guess for the press center, this is probably the highest number of priests per square meter in the last years. About the intergenerational solidarity, I think ELP can also attest, because the fellows are not writing, hopefully, alone their personal mission plan, but they write it together with their coaches, who are sometimes Jesuits, sometimes lay people, and with their mentors, who are people being in Brussels for a longer time and devoting their free time volunteering with the fellows and helping them to create plans and dreams and concretize them. If you could just put your hands up, those mentors and coaches in the room, Paul, Miguel, Philip, yes, Emmanuel, thank you very much. So, I really appreciate, and great many thanks to you for joining us and accompanying the young people on that. Thank you. But now, as I see 4 men with gray hair, that's usually not good in 23. So let's talk about the fellows. And we have prepared the short video, just that you and our guests can imagine how life in the ELP house is happening. And as this is a program where actually they live together in 2 houses, so the 20 fellows are sharing 2 houses, which are on the 2 sides of the same street. That means it is a community. And I guess this cohort was particularly happy to bond and create new connections. And at least that's what we understood from the outside. So if we can watch the short video now, that would be great. And then we will later listen to the two fellows, one from the current cohort and one alumni representative, shortly sharing their personal experience. Let's watch the video. Happy life.
They are always keeping bottom.
Well, they need the energy to carry the program on. But that certainly shows the joy and the happiness. Of course, they also had moments of challenges, moments of, well, not desperation, but desolation. But that's exactly the strength of the community. And we hope that partly sharing basic values that keeps and will keep this cohort together, not only among themselves, but also with the alumni of ELP. So at this moment, we really want you to speak, and it will be Teresa, a trainee from Caritas Europa, giving and offering a speech on behalf of the cohort. Teresa, please.
Good afternoon. Dear friends, ELP fellows, alumni, family members, and colleagues, both present and joining us online, it is an honor to address all of you in this occasion. Today, as we bid farewell, we also embrace the satisfaction, We also embrace the satisfaction that accompanies the culmination of our collective endeavor. The significance of this celebration lies in the realization of a shared project, the fruits of which will certainly shape our lives in the years to come. Well, how is it possible for 20 complete unknown individuals to come together and create something so remarkable. Back in early March, when we first met, we were strangers to one another. Strangers who were going to share a house for 5 months. Bit challenging, isn't it? Well, allow me to invite you into a brief exercise so you can get a glimpse of what I mean. Take a moment to observe around you and randomly select someone who you don't know yet. And now imagine I tell you that when this event concludes, you will be moving to a new house here in Brussels, and you will be living alongside the chosen person and 18 more people into houses. And I assure you that despite the lack of prior contact, your new housemates will without doubt influence fundamental aspects of your life. Somehow, mysteriously, you will start to walk and grow together. Because as one of the fellows told me recently, you must trust the process. Because when you do it, magic happens. Well, community life, it's at the heart of the ELP and carries the cornerstone of our daily existence. Just like our vibrant garden symbolizes, thank you, Suri, for that. Our sense of care extends beyond ourselves and reaches out to our surroundings, interconnecting with the fabric of our planet, the common house we all share. We have also cultivated a deep sense of humor and fun. I will deeply miss Volodomir's turbulent yet joyful presence, Pietro's and Antonello's love for the Italian classics. I will remember always the Dante Day, always. Or Ivan's, where are you, Ivan? Yeah, Ivan's movements on the dance floor. Well, as all we agree, our house is a place for spirituality in a very integrative way. The fact that we all share very openly and safely our spiritual experiences has offered us a comfort and a renewed sense of connection. With total honesty, I have never opened my heart to anyone as I done with all of you. And for that, I'm also particularly grateful to our spiritual coaches. Their support has allowed us to include discernment into our daily practice. Our appreciation is also extended to our mentors and also the inspiring speakers who generously share their wisdom, time, provided guidance, and listen to our questions. The guidance of San Ignacio is as relevant now as it was 500 years ago. It enriches our inner selves and strengthens our outer lives, empowering us to navigate the complexities of life with a renewed purpose and determination. Because if there are two expressions that capture the essence of this journey, those are transformation and shared commitment. Most of us arrive in Brussels with a very diverse range of goals in mind. However, unknown to all of us at the time we met, another project quietly began to flourish. It is a personal calling that challenges us simultaneously and is leading and serving, pushing us to overcome doubts and uncertainties. And as we have been talking here right now, there are countless ways to fulfill this call to service. Some of us will serve alongside our families, others we will go back to our home countries, or they will go to foreign lands. But regardless the specific path we choose, what remains fundamental is putting our core values into action. That's what San Ignacio meant when he stated that love is service. As we move forward, today we found ourselves pondering a central question. What comes next? Well, I believe that in every ending there is a new beginning. And when I reflected on the lessons that we have learned during our time as ELP fellows, I find I can integrate them into 3 key principles that somehow may offer us direction into the future. First, love as a driving force in our lives. Only when we master the art of loving ourselves, we can truly love others. Only by opening our heart, we can reach the heart of others. Second, we are living in a very highly competitive environment and in a city where solitude often becomes a familiar companion. And I think it's crucial to remember that every individual matters. We all matter. Let us not allow that moments of doubt overshadow the certainty that, as Mother Teresa said, every drop counts in the middle of the ocean. After all, what is the ocean but a multitude of drops? And third, let's preserve our spiritual freedom. I would like to quote Viktor Frank. He was an Austrian medical doctor that spent several years in Auschwitz. And he said, everything can be taken from a person, but one thing, the last of human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's way. And I would also like to thank the 4 people that make the European Leadership Program possible. Eniko, Botond, Feblesi, I don't know where she is, there, okay, and Felipe. And please me allow to follow Felipe's recent tradition of using an animal metaphor to recognize our qualities. Well, this has been very difficult. Following a very complex deliberation, we have finally agreed, Felipe, that the animal that describes you the best, it's a pony. Well, wait. You are compassionate, gentle, intelligent, and you have been a good companion in our spiritual path. Thank you. And I would like to conclude with the following words of the Polish sociologist Zygmunt Bauman, which I believe capture the essence of our journey together. Our lives, whether we know it or not, are works of art. To live our lives as the art of life demands, we must, like the artists of any art, set ourselves challenges which are difficult to confront. We must choose targets that are beyond our reach and standards of excellence that seem to stay far above our ability. We need to attempt the impossible. Thank you very much. Gracias.
Thank you, Teresa. And you have to know that we don't even teach rhetorics. So that's all by Teresa. Thank you very much. ELP actually should not finish by the end of the 5th or the 10th month. ELP should carry on actually for the decades after. And that's the hope that, like the moth on the tree, these ELP fellows will slowly inhabit the Brussels universe, still keeping together and enjoying the same water. And therefore, we always like to invite an alumni representative to talk. We have several alumni in the room. Please put up your hands. Camila, Gianmarco, yes, Zoya, Barbara, Andreas. And today it will be Jose having an address for you. Jose is still living in a sort of a Jesuit residence, which is called the New Beguinage, behind La Via Europe. So we are very happy to have you with us tonight. Thank you, Jose, for accepting. Please come.
Thanks, Modern. Well, first, thanks for having me here, and first and foremost, congratulations for your graduation from the leadership program. I did the European Leadership Program a couple of years ago, and it was a wonderful experience. It really was the place where I made some of my best friends here in Brussels, from different countries, from different backgrounds. I even had the chance last year to go to Budapest for the alumni meeting, which some Hungarian alumni very kindly organized for us. Well, I have just a few words to say. Well, as we head towards the summer, I guess many of you will be going back to your countries, to your places of origin. Some of you may come back to Brussels later in September or later in life. Some of you may continue your professional career somewhere else. And in any case, it's clear that you're all very ambitious people. Not everyone decides to come to Belgium, to a foreign country, to work in a different language, and to, on top of that, do a leadership program in their free time and live with people from different countries. In this context, what I wanted to talk about is about ambition. It's a bit in line with what previous speakers have said. Ambition is certainly a very important quality, that is very present in the city, as you may have noticed when you meet trainees from the EU institutions. You always see them with a lot of ambition. Some of them want to become presidents of their countries, or presidents of the Commission, or high-level officials in international institutions, which is it's good. These are very fair and very legitimate aspirations. Because without aspiration, we cannot really achieve anything in life. However, I would like to say a word of caution here. I think in our society, and especially in Brussels, we tend to glorify a bit the idea of having very big ambitions, ambitions about becoming someone important who takes decisions, has power, has prestige, and that's good. But what I often see, and what I find a bit concerning, is that I see a lot of ambition, but from a lot of people, very often I don't see a lot of purpose. Sometimes we aspire to things to get very far in life, but I don't really see why or what for. Obviously, as I was mentioning, the power, the prestige, or even the money are obviously attractive in themselves. But I would just like to invite you to consider in the next few weeks, the next few months or years, to consider what your purpose is in life when you have to decide on what to do next. I invite you, as previous speakers have done, to pause, to think, to reflect on what you want to be and what your talents are and how you want to use them for the benefit of society. As I was mentioning, you are obviously all very talented people. I would like to invite you to think about how you can use your talents for your purpose in society. What your purpose is something that you should probably think about yourselves, or define yourselves as you develop in your personal life and in your professional career, obviously. And secondly, just a brief thought. The other issue I see with ambition is that we should be careful that our ambitions, which are fair and legitimate, do not trump our friendships and our values as we pursue the objectives that we've set us for ourselves. I would invite you to make sure that your values and your friendships and the people you value and appreciate are always a priority over your professional, your legitimate professional ambitions. That's really all I wanted to say, and congratulations again to all of you, and have a nice evening.
Thank you very much, Jose. I guess that was a very good demonstration of the wisdom of the alumni, and hopefully that will be shared more and more as the number of alumni already passed 100. So we are slowly growing into the Brussels bubble. Now we got to the keynote speech before the ceremony itself, when we hand over the diplomas and the certificates. We will listen to Frank Janin, and just a preliminary footnote for those who are not professionally acquainted with the Jesuit structures. This is a 500-year-old congregation of the Catholic Church, and they are organized into so-called conferences, which are practically continents. So the Europe and the Middle East and some parts, even Russia, is making it under one conference, and that conference of the Jesuit provincials, as the continent is divided into provinces, like in the old Roman Empire. So those provinces have their local bosses, the provincials, and they have elected a person representing them on the continental dialogue, on the global dialogue, and that boss is Frank Janin, who is the president of the European provincials. So he has been on a 6-year service in this position, and this is his about the last months that he spends with us, which means that he was not only president of JESC and GCP, but he was witnessing ELP taking from a baby shape into the current pretty much major shape. So Frank, thank you for accepting to join us tonight, and please come and take the stage.
So good evening to everyone. I feel I won't add a lot to what has been said until now. Really, it's amazing how things are coming together. So I am really delighted to be with you tonight. And 5 months ago, I had the chance to speak. Maybe you were not all there, but I remember well. And when I was there with you, I just take time to speak to you about the environment of ELP, because ELP is not coming from nowhere. It's part of a big thing. It's a big company, because it's a company that is a bit special because it's a Compañía de Jesús, but it's a company, international, worldwide. And so I wanted to tonight just to speak a bit about the founder of this Compañía de Jesús. It's a big company, because I thought, in fact, if we are here tonight, it's because of him. No Inigo de Loyola, no Ignatius, no ELP. So, and you know, I am a Jesuit. It is my last month in my position. So I said to myself, I am going to speak about Ignatius of Loyola, because he was a great leader. He was a great leader. You know, a company that exists 500 after its foundation, it's incredible. We'll see if Coca-Cola will stand fire. The EU, I hope better the EU than Coca-Cola. So, but I would like just to limit myself to two aspects of the leadership of Ignatius of Loyola. And those two aspects, we heard them just now. But I would like to summarize. There is a lot to say, but just two aspects. In 2 words, intention and attention. An old pilgrim was making his way to the Himalayan mountains in the bitter cold of winter, when it began to snow. An innkeeper said to him, "How will you ever get there in this kind of weather, my good man?" The old man answered cheerfully, "My heart goes there first, so it's easy for the rest of me to follow." My heart goes there first, so it's easy for the rest of me to follow. The old pilgrim knows where he wants to go, which is the goal of his journey. His intention is very clear. But he doesn't just know where he wants to go with his head, with his mind. His heart is there too. In other words, it is a goal that also captures his affections, even his guts, that has this capacity to attract to the point that it mobilizes the heart, the deepest part of himself, and through the heart, the whole being. His intention was clear and firm, but his heart was already in it to reach the Himalayas. And we spoke just now about purpose. Ignatius discovered his Himalayas, not immediately. He was 30 years old at that time. I don't know how old are you? More than 30? Less? Okay. So it's time to discover your Himalaya. but he discovered it after nearly dying. So sometimes we need to have a really a strong experience of weakness, of vulnerability, to really think about the purpose of our lives. Yeah, his Himalaya was great. This Himalaya was the glory of God. Even he said the greater glory of God. In other words, the praise and service of God. Praise and service was for him two words meaning love. How we know that someone loves us? Because he's able to see the best in us, to praise us, and is able to serve us, and not to serve himself or herself. And we spoke about love. And so Ignatius discovered this Himalaya, and the greater glory of God, nothing less. So the Himalayas are not a small hill. We are talking about what is the highest mountains in the world. So Ignatius grasped the importance of keeping or holding the purpose, the ultimate goal of life in his mind and in his heart. And really, he was so much focused on this. And so it was also possible for him to lead people toward this, because he knew where he wanted to go. And indeed, if you think about it, how can you really set short or medium-term goals without having the end goal, the real purpose of your life in mind? But even more in your heart. In your heart. How can you plan the stage of a trip if you have no idea where you want to go and no desire to go there? So I am not talking here about the little short-term goals we might have, what I'm going to do for my holidays or next September, or even what I'm going to do for a living. I am talking about the ultimate goal in life. What can give its full meaning to your existence? That can be the point of attraction for all your thoughts, decisions, and actions. Something precisely as the measure of a lifetime, a broad, deep, high goal. Yeah, long before Simon Sinek, Ignatius was obsessed with the why. Nietzsche was atheist, so maybe I shouldn't quote Nietzsche, but Nietzsche has a great sentence on this. He or she who has a why to live for, he who has a why to live for can bear almost any how. In French, you know, the word why can be written in two ways. Pourquoi or pourquoi. So, in view of what? Why do I do what I do? Think what I think, study what I study, or choose what I choose? Only a clear awareness of the purpose of life can enable us to achieve it, but also to take the path, the best path to reach it. How can I be a leader? How can I claim to lead others if I myself don't know in which direction I want to lead my life? In the Gospel, there is a short story. Jesus tells of a blind man who wants to guide another blind man. Surely, Jesus says, they will both end up in a hole. So what is your Himalaya? And I hope, but I heard it already, that these 5 months have been a good time for you to become a little more aware of what can really and live in your life and give it its direction. In other words, what you want to achieve in your life. Maybe you did it during your 5 months, but I don't think so. Ignatius suggests the deathbed experience. To imagine yourself on your deathbed. Maybe it's a bit scary and not very appropriate for such a nice evening. But What would you like to have done or have tried to do, to have achieved, accomplished? What would you have liked to devote your strength, as we said already, your energy, your talents to? What would you like your family and friends to say at your funeral? He was a good guy, nice girl, nice woman, lot of kids, one kid, no kids. What, really? I was recently on a plane to visit one of our communities in Turkey. We have one community in Turkey. And I watched a film called, I don't know if you know it, Lamborghini. Lamborghini. You know the cars, the Lamborghini. Which tells the story of Ferruccio Lamborghini. He had only one obsession: to beat Ferrari. We were speaking about ambition. To make a car that will be more beautiful and faster than those of Enzo Ferrari. And because of his obsession, he was not present, he was not there when, with his wife, when she died while giving birth to their child. And he did nothing to retain his second wife, who eventually left him. But what I remember most are the words of his son, who said to him, looking at him and saying, "You have do it all. Everything you have ever wanted. Was it worth it, Papa? Was it worth it?" An old pilgrim was making his way to the Himalayan mountains in the bitter cold of winter when it began to snow. An innkeeper said to him, "How will you ever get there in this kind of weather, my good man?" The old man answered cheerfully, "My heart goes there first, so it's easy for the rest of me to follow." The question is, where is your heart? Where is your desire? Where is your love? If your desire, your intention, your heart is not already fully present at the goal of the journey, how can you even get there? A Jesuit wrote a beautiful text on this subject. All the Jesuits here know it. And it was attributed to Pedro Arrupe. We spoke about Pedro Arrupe, but it seems it's not from him. What you are in love with, what seizes your imagination, will affect everything. It will decide what will get you out of bed in the morning, what you do with your evenings, how do you spend your weekends, what you read, whom you know, what breaks your heart, and what amazes you with joy and gratitude. Ignatius fell in love with the ultimate reality that we call God, who had captured his imagination, which decided what he did with his days, and which amazed him with joy and gratitude. Finally, but I have a second point that will be much shorter. Don't worry. Finally, I would like to point out one of the key essential features of Ignatius' ultimate goal is that it's not centered on himself, on his ego, but on the other. And in his case, the other with a capital O is not ego-centered, but Theo-centered. If the ELP has been created, its aim, its intention, is to train leaders or future leaders whose ultimate interest will not be their personal good. What will be, but the good, the common good, the common interest. And as we look the many great challenges of our time, it is this kind of leaders with a big goal, with a big purpose, that are not at their service, that the world urgently needs. My second point, very short, attention. Well, already we spoke about it. Attention, it means staying centered, focused. And it is a great challenge today, as we are surrounded by so many and it's also one of our Father General who said that, as we are surrounded by so many distractions, this I had written the former CEO of the Society of Jesus because I was speaking about a company, used to talk about the globalization of superficiality. I don't know if it's your experience. In other words, the globalization of everything that prevents us from really going deep or high, from focusing on what really matters. Attention is twofold. It is on one hand to be attentive to what is happening outside ourselves, in the world around us. It challenges its questions, its joys, and its dramas. Because it's about being leaders with open eyes, even if it is sometimes to cry, to weep, as we look at this world. I followed a formation on leadership, and they were speaking about vulnerability. A great leader is able to be vulnerable. Open our eyes to the world is also a sure way to get rid of excessive preoccupation with yourselves, our image, your appearances, your successes. But most of all, Ignatius invites us to pay attention to our inner world. He would say, become more aware, more conscious of what is happening inside you, within you. Enter your inner world. That's where the secret of your life lies. The first fruit of this attention is that it can help us to start looking for our life's purpose, if we haven't already discovered it. But the second is that it keeps us vigilant, so that nothing distracts us from our purpose. So many things pulls us away, pulls us out of ourselves, want to capture our attention, to divert us from our true intention. Like Ulysses in his boat in the Odyssey. He wants, it is his purpose, to return to his homeland, to be reunited with his love, Penelope. And the mermaids sing their most beautiful and captivating songs. They sing in a melancholy voice, "Come this way, Ulysses. Stop your boat. Stop your journey and join us." Who are the mermaids that are whispering in our ears to deviate us from our goal? And as you know, I heard it, Ignatius developed a whole series of tools to help us discern, to identify those voices, those inner movements, as he said, that encourage us to move forward, or on the contrary, tend to distract, to divert us from the purpose of our life, from our Himalaya. An old pilgrim was making his way to the Himalayan mountains in the bitter cold of winter when it began to snow. No, okay, it's the third time. I think it's enough. Thank you very much.
Let us thank Father Frank, as he's also finishing his term with a very small gift. Frank is originally from France, but becoming more and more Belgian, and therefore he will. 2 weeks ago. Congratulations. Congratulations on the Belgian citizenship and on the Tintin mug. Thank you. So thank you very much for the speech, and I guess now you understand how partly joining the Jesuits on these short 5 months is a spiritual yoga for the fellows, and trying to understand a 500-year-old tradition. Now let's get to the ceremony. So we will quickly reorganize the stage, and then we will call the fellows quickly one by one to get their certificates. Our leaders, Antonello from You did not make it.
So he clearly he was not Miss Universe. So Antonello from which is the country?
Specific part of Italy, maybe. Azura, hang on back. Zuri is from Hungary, and she has been working with the Laudato Si Research Institute. That is another undercover Jesuit agency in Oxford. Yopka. He's working for NATO, so he's a big friend. Flavia Laneri from Camilla. Géza Kovácsovák from Hungary. And he was a second semester fellow, so therefore he already received the white side. It's already a beauty pageant.
But he deserves the picture, right?
Isabel. We are happy to have Spanish people slowly in ELP. Ivan Kulka also second semester fellow. The European Commission kept him for us in Brussels. Jessica Holmes. A happy citizen of the United Kingdom.
But she voted no for Brexit.
Camilla Veres from Hungary. Kamil Jaronczyk, second semester fellow. Kamil is a Polish American working for the cinema industry.
Yes.
Marcel Petru. Marcel is from Hungary, working for the Commission. I wonder if so many Hungarians because of me, or because of the state of the situation back in home. Marie Lardinois. Marie is actually our second fellow from the country where we are, Belgium.
Oh,
Yes, he will not make it. Pietro. Pietro from Italy, but and curiously working for Luxembourg in the last 5 months. Kralica. Kralica Shentsova is from Bulgaria. She is our second fellow from Bulgaria, and we are very happy to build the East-West bridge inside ELP. And the speaker, Teresa, you have that.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Hey, the one more Italian, Veronica, also working. And finally, Volodymyr, Ukrainian fellow, He spent 2 semesters with us. And also with the commission. Thank you. Did everyone get a certificate? Yeah. All right. Thank you very much. We take the feedback.
We take it back?
So you can actually.
Oh, we can
yeah,
go.
you can find. Okay, so not much is in front of us or waiting for us in the next minutes. I am very glad that you shared this joyful moment when we can celebrate achievements, personal achievements. That's what we want in the integral development of the European Leadership Fellows, that they feel that they do advance in the 5 and the 10 months respectively that they have spent with us. So thank you again, fellows, for joining us. And I really appreciate your investment and time and energy and attention and devotion to this program. And I hope that this will just grow as an alumni in the next years and decades to come. Thank you. I really don't want to hijack you from the ultimate objective that Frank was talking about. And I hope that you all did develop something, at least in a sketch, with your coach and mentor. But one of our speakers was talking about the fact, Peter Verovšek, that since the European Eastern countries joined the EU, there was no treaty change, just an upgrade. That was Lisbon. And actually, I think you have to make the revolution happen, as we are running short of time with climate change, with the war in the neighborhood, and with all the things that was evoked by the speakers. So Pope Francis is also talking a lot about structural change. And we do hope that you got this momentum and intention to change these things in Brussels. One of you was making, during the personal mission presentation day, mistake and talking about not the Brussels bubble, but the Brussels bubble. So I think that is very well demonstrating that well, we have some chaos around us, and what food security was taken for granted, water security, energy security was taken for granted for decades, and these are all being questioned. So many of you were expressing uncertainty and feelings about that, and how you can cope with that personally as much as a future leader. So this is something that we really want you to master, not alone, but together. And that's probably the most important, that despite all the fragmentation and superficiality and everything else that was mentioned, that you keep bonding together, and that people sharing values and sharing a mission can stay on the same track, in the same highway, and help each other when the moment of despair comes, because that will come. And this is exactly what we want you then take the WhatsApp, or what will be then trend, right? Since today, so that you take the other ELP fellow with you, and you have a discussion, a walk in the forest in Bois de la Cambre, and that you get back your energy and get back the plan and the intentions back on your future mission. So thank you again. Thank you very much. I also want to thank the ELP staff for making this event happen, Fablesi and Danica and the press center that is receiving us. Let's give them a very short round of applause. I'm also grateful for the staff being present, Benoit, Philippe, and the Jesuit and the priests sharing with us, the alumni, and the friends of ELP. So the most of you who are in the room are old or new friends of ELP or of JESC, and hopefully you will see the institution in the next years and months to achieve also in the field of ecology certain other missions. That's our firm intention with Philippe. All right. I want to give the floor, because we have not only Frank leaving Brussels, but we have Father Floya also leaving the Apostolic Nunciature very soon. He has been with us also at several graduations, so you have been a witness to how ELP has been growing. I hope that's your impression as well. And we asked you to make a final prayer or blessing to the fellows for the journey that they begin now. So please, Father Floya, the floor is yours.
Good evening to everyone. It is very nice to conclude this beautiful evening. It is also very honorable for me to finish this evening with prayer, benediction, as you prefer. May Almighty God always keep every adversity far from you, and in His kindness pour out upon you the gifts of His blessing. May God keep your hearts attentive to His words, that may be filled with everlasting gladness. And so may you always understand what is good and right, and be found ever hasting along in the path of God's commands, made courteous with the citizens of heaven. And may the blessing of Almighty God, the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit come down on you and remain with you forever.
Amen. Thank you, Father. The moment is here. Please stay with us. Be our guest for reception. And stay with us as long as Laurent is having this terrace open for the summer reception. You will be served some food and refreshments. So the guests are welcomed in the reception area, but the ELP fellows, please, ELP fellows, come on the stage for a photo with the ELP staff, okay? Vladimir? No, Pietro.
Before the photo,
Yeah.
we have a surprise.
All right.
We have a surprise for you, so.
That was not planned. Should I run?
Bessie and Felipe and Eniko to also come here.
Fabrizi and Denike also, please. You are requested.
Yes. And something that is, well, very precious to you from ELP, I would say. So, thank you.
This is Please express your happiness of getting rid of us. That's it.
Thank you. Open it first, and then you can see. To put it inside.
Extra virgin.
There is a little story that we won't tell here, but they understood. And we also have a picture of us that you can put on the walls.
The idea we wanted to give something to the community as well as you guys, to thank everyone. And we thought maybe it could be a nice idea to start a tradition that we hang up a photo of every cohort in the house. So we printed a photo of our cohort where everyone is on it. Well, we photoshopped it. And so if you find it a good idea, then maybe we can start that tradition. So we have a reminder of every cohort within the house.
Excellent. Thank you. Please happy the reception fellows on the stage. Thank you.